Validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. It's always something. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. I had a little bit of a mic hiccup just a moment ago, but we're live, so no edits. That's how it is. Working on that Saturday, that very good Saturday. It's almost the end of the week. People are like, wait, Saturday is the end of the week. Nah. Some people, the end of their week is sometimes on Sunday, sometimes on a different day of the week. Note that we're live 7 nights a week, though. So if you guys like and subscribe, use those reaction buttons as you can see on the screen right over there. You guys can see us on a nightly basis. We have a different topic every night of the week. Tonight, we're going to be strengthening bonds with some amazing relationship goals. And these are going to be some unorthodox things that we're going to do that is not the general working on personal communication stuff like we talked about yesterday, but we did touch on 10 unorthodox ways that we could go about doing it, and 10 more ways that most people don't even think about doing it to strengthen those relationships. Beyond that, remember that tomorrow we're supposed to be talking about that habeas corpus conversation that came up last week. So we're going to be diving deep into that, talking about some hypotheticals as they are hoping and trying to put something like that into effect for the immigration thing. But how will that affect the average American during that time if the habeas corpus is not there? We're going to be talking about all of that tomorrow. Now, in addition to that, we have some money making opportunities that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday, different countries we can do that in on Wednesday, and likely Thursday through Sunday. We're going to be talking about everything else under the sun that is improving yourself, improving your network, and the relationships with your romantic partners, as well as your friends, colleagues, family, society, so that you can build yourself a better lifestyle than the one that you currently have. If there's anything about your life that you don't like, you should just come to this and that and talk to us about it, and we can figure out ways to walk you guys through better decision making so that you can find the type of lifestyle that you're looking for. It's something that's not just going to get handed to you. It's something that you've got to build, and nothing that is worth having is done overnight. So there is those get rich quick schemes. There are those overnight sensation kind of situations, but those are all short-lived, like one-hit wonders. And what we're talking about doing is building a sturdy, stable, strong, indefinite foundation that'll last you through the ages, so that you guys can be in a situation where you're more satisfied and more happy. So we're going to get into that today. And we're going to be talking about a challenge that's close to my heart, and maybe yours too. So we're diving head first into a list of amazing relationship goals, and all designed to bring us back together and grow closer with our partners. And I want you to join me on this journey. So let's face it, building a relationship, building a strong relationship, a healthy relationship, isn't just about luck or chemistry. It takes real effort, intentionality, and yes, a bit of courage to set goals together, whether it's carving out time for regular date nights, leveling up our communication, or simply remembering to show gratitude for the little things. These goals are all about deepening that connection and making our bond unbreakable. But here's the twist. This isn't just about couples. Self-improvement plays a massive role in how we show up in our relationship. When you work on yourself, boosting your confidence, pursuing your passions, and learning to truly value who you are, you naturally become a better partner. Trust me, I've seen it in my own life and in the stories of friends who turned their dating lives around just by focusing on personal growth. Joint goal setting and relationship satisfaction, in many studies of older couples, 85% self-reported at least one joint goal with their partner, and 31% reported wanting to achieve all three of their most important goals together. Importantly, having more externally verified joint goals was associated with greater goal progress, higher relationship satisfaction, and even lower holistic load. And that would be a measure of psychological stress. Now, keep in mind, we have to remember that when you are in a positive relationship, the person that you're in the relationship aids and contributes towards your peace, not your chaos. Now, I know we had this conversation last night, and I thought that it was very entertaining that Talinia asked us about this. What if you're dating somebody who brings you more chaos? From the perspective of men, we have to understand a man volunteers to take the chaos of a woman and incorporate it into his life. it is the responsibility of men by modern old-fashioned traditions, not modern traditions, old-fashioned traditions, that if a man is a capable man, a masculine man, or somewhat, that he takes the woman under his wing and protects and provides for her. And part of that providing for her is taking her responsibilities, which is taking her stress and taking her chaos under his wing. And then with her eras of peace, the hope is that with all that extra free time that she has about not stressing over stuff, that she would put more effort into accomplishing some of the things that's stressing out her husband, so that he has less stress on his plate as well. Now, when you have that type of partnership, the partner that you're with is aiding in your peace, because if there's something that you don't have time to do, you've got to be in two places at one time, and your partner is going to go handle the one that is less primary, less important, where you're going to choose to either go left or go right. When you go left, your partner will go right and tackle the other thing for you. When you go right, your partner will go left and tackle the other thing for you. So you know that regardless of which direction you go, both obligations are tackled successfully and correctly. That brings an era of peace. Okay. There are some that are critical about these things, that want to say, well, what about the ones that start conflict in a relationship? They weren't worth being in a relationship with anyway. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. But ladies, y'all have to understand that if a lot of men that have a conflictual lifestyle choose not to be in relationships because their lifestyle is not stable. Those men those who strive for stability, because there are some that plateau in failure, but those that strive in stability will first make themselves somewhat stable. They don't have to be perfect. They could just have all of their bills paid on time and a little bit of money left over to be able to court a lady. And they might feel like, okay, I've got enough to at least start looking, right? But then there's also the fellas that would prefer to have it all together, to have that nest egg, and then start looking. Regardless of which kind of man it is, ladies, if you are courted by a guy, he should not be bringing you chaos. He should be offering you peace. So if you accept a chaotic relationship, you have to think about your decision making going into this, because you're walking into whatever his agenda is. It's digging himself out of a hole. You're crawling into that hole so that you and him can dig him out of that hole. If it's battling the forefronts of chaos, you're diving into that front line fight and you're aiding him in battling that front. That's not what you're intending on doing when you're observing this person's character, his personality, and his lifestyle, not his income, not his wealth, not his resources and assets. The stuff he's got to go through on a day-to-day basis and the decisions that he makes while he's going through that. If you're analyzing that, you can determine if going in, this is the type of relationship, this is the type of lifestyle that you would want to be a part of. Now, another metadata analysis found a significant positive association between goal interdependence, which is the extent to which partners' goals are linked or coordinated, and relationship satisfaction, confirming that couples who align their goals tend to be happier together. So we had this conversation last night as well, where Talenia was asking me, well, what if a man is going after a woman to ensure that he's getting what he's looking for out of the relationship, what does she get out of the deal? And it's a selfish mentality. If the relationship with a good man, a perceivably good man, is going to be, keep in mind, ladies, this is a male-driven podcast from a male's perspective. If a good man is what you're supposed to be dating, his goal is to achieve your goals and his goals. That is his goal. Your goal is his goal, and his goal is his goal. He's going to try to figure out to do both. Now, when a woman asks, well, what about me? That is the selfish and independent mentality that is not satisfactory for a relationship. Because if going into that relationship, the man is already set to consider what about you before he considers what about him. Because in order for him to accept you, he has to be able to say, okay, I can take her goals on and I can accomplish those. Then after that, he has to determine, since I'm capable of giving her what she's looking for, is she willing to give me what I'm looking for? Once you guys come together with that clear understanding, then you guys can start setting those goals. That's why we talked yesterday about the vision board. If you're creating a vision board with one another, you're able to set goals and attempt your best efforts to achieve those goals. What it takes is for you guys to pay attention to the right things. Now, partner involvement and goal progress is something that we need to talk about next, because in a study involving 118 older couples, because younger couples are dropping like flies, partner involvement in goal pursuit was reported 40% of the time. When partners were involved, the effectiveness of their contribution was rated on an average at 74 out of 100%, and satisfaction with their contribution at 79 out of 100%. So higher relationship satisfaction and support, along with lower conflict, were all strongly associated with greater goal progress when partners were involved. This is one of the reasons why I tell you that you've got to get involved, ladies. And I'm talking to y'all specifically at this point because the men already know that 3/4 of their life is dedicated to building themselves up to be the success that you will tolerate. Then that level of success will contribute to everything that you need and most of the things that you want within that budget. Beyond that, it is up to you to do what it takes to get everything else beyond his capabilities. Not a lot of people agree with that. They would prefer to have it all or have somebody else, where they don't have to put up that much effort towards achieving. It's a challenge. But if you're not contributing into the relationship, a lot of men have figured this out, and that's why it's starting to become hard for the ladies to date, especially the middle-aged women. If the man approaches with interest and you're not paying attention to that interest, he stops trying. You're wondering why he's not putting up the pursuit. He's not trying harder. Why should he? Why should a man put forth so much effort into attracting a woman that doesn't have interest in him? Now, we've come to understand, we've talked about this quite a few times on the show. The effort from the man, he's going to invest in a woman from the first date, more often than not. We're lucky if the man gets a go Dutch where she's going to pay for herself and he's going to pay for himself, but more often than not, he's going to pay for everybody. Very rarely does she pay for everybody, and when she does, it's going to be far and few in between. When we recognize this, we also recognize that continuing into that, we're going to be looking at throughout the dating phase, the man is paying for the woman. And then in the relationship phase, the man is paying for the woman. Then in modern times, the man is paying for the engagement ring. And then in modern times, the man is paying for the wedding. And the engagement ring is supposed to be 30% of the man's income. The wedding is supposed to be 3 times the engagement ring. And then when you finish with all of that, the man has to pay for his wife until he dies, where at some point the wife inherits whatever's left. The only thing that the woman is supposed to be doing in this traditional dating platform is enjoy the standard of living that the man has created for her, or, well, but sometimes it's an or, and contribute to the situation to make the situation better. A lot of relationships are one-sided, where the men put a lot of effort into courting the women and the women are enjoying the ride. And then when the man gets burnt out on courting the women feel like the man has lost interest in her and she'll move on, instead of reciprocating with courting the man back. That is not always the way to fly. It is the way that some people carry on, though. If you guys were to do a daily diary, studies have shown that partner support not only boosts same day goal progress, but also has a positive effect on next day progress. This support is also linked to a lower distress and higher relationship quality over time. So it doesn't matter if you're in a romantic relationship, if you've got a best friend, if you've got a family member that you cohabitate with, if your family members are contributing equally to the duty-bound tasks, then you don't feel overwhelmed. If your best friend is contributing to the requirements of whatever activity you guys have set forth for yourselves, then you don't feel so overwhelmed. It's like, imagine if you're trying to move. You invite your friend to come over and help you move. Your friend is talking to you and watching you load up the truck, but your friend's not really putting much effort into loading up the truck. Yeah, you could load that truck by yourself, but you brought your friend into this so that you didn't have to do it by yourself. And that is where the frustration and resentment will build. When you're doing something with a second person, with the expectation that the two of you will be working towards the success together. If one of you is on autopilot and not contributing, the other person is overwhelmed with work. And that is what is not satisfactory in the relationship. And it builds resentment. It will always build resentment. There are things that need to be done. It can't just be like, well, I didn't do it, I'm not going to do it. It can't just be like, well, that's not my responsibility. If you guys cohabitate the same residence, it is your responsibility because you live there. You didn't have to cause it, but you got to fix it. If the other person didn't have enough time to finish it or set it up right, then it's on you to finish it or set it up right. Coordination and life satisfaction comes from a study of 215 people, 215 couples. Now, they found that those who coordinated more on their personal goals achieved higher goal attainment, which in turn was associated with higher life satisfaction. Interestingly, individuals whose partners were more successful in attaining their goals also reported greater satisfaction with their own lives. Now, prevalence and perception of joint goals is yet another thing that we have to take into consideration. While 85% of participants in one study believe they shared at least one joint goal with their partner, external ratings found only about 31% of goals were truly joint, indicating that the perception of shared goals is common and may itself boosts relationship satisfaction. So even if it is not a goal that we both share, but it's a goal that we're both working towards, we could both be working towards my success, and then we could both be working towards your success. But if we're both doing it, it is still going to feel like we have a common goal. It is still going to feel like we're achieving a common level of success. And it'll also lead to us having the ability to reduce stress and also have a heightened level of mutual respect for our partners. Because take it, if you're putting in the effort for your partner first, right? Because somebody's got to go first if you're not working on the same goal. Doesn't matter which one of you goes first. The person that goes second, you put in all the effort to go first, to the one that's going first. The one that's receiving effort first is more likely to have the loyalty to reciprocate that effort by putting more effort into your thing second. So notice how in a lot of couples these days, when a man is trying to relax, some women like to prove that a man still cares about her by making him lift something heavy or interrupting his peace by making him perform a task by himself that they could have performed together after he rested. And then if he doesn't want to do that because he's tired, he's whatever, the woman gets frustrated and then proceeds to tackling that task on her own because she did not feel the control in the situation where she was able to inform the guy that something needed to be done, and he stops what he's doing and goes and gets that done. In a relationship, when you're working together, you should be able to plan these things. If I'm going to lay down, if I'm not feeling good, if I'm tired or whatever the case, hungry, whatever, you come and talk to me about something that needs to be moved. I should be able to tell you when I plan on getting to that. We should be working on when we are going to go over there and tackle that. Something that needs to be lifted, if it's too heavy for you, then both of us should be carrying it. If we were working for somebody else, we wouldn't be carrying it by ourselves. So why are we at the house making the husband do all the heavy lifting alone? So that he could break his back and then you don't have a man working for you. That's not a good outcome for you, ladies. It's not about, well, value the man. You should be valuing the man, but the decisions that you make with utilizing your man is the same as the decisions that a king or a queen would make with utilizing their army. You don't want to sacrifice your troops because each time a troop dies, you have to train a new troop. And each time you have to train a new troop, the skill level declines because the experience is not there and the less effective your troops. So you want to make the decisions that reduces the quantity of loss so that you can maximize the extension of gain. Similar in your relationships, that's the exact same thing. You do not want to burn out your husband or your boyfriend because if you burn him out, he's not going to be able to function anymore. You want to utilize to his capabilities, his skill set to your benefit, while you utilize your skill set to your capabilities to his benefit. So if your husband asks you to do something, don't half-ass it in a way where he'll get frustrated at what you're doing and then fail or refuse to accomplish. That's not the case. Ironically, if you put more effort into doing it the best that you possibly can, then your husband or your boyfriend can count on you to achieve for him, which, as I've said in the past, makes you more valuable. Now, men in these studies tended to report more joint goals and higher relationship satisfaction compared to women. though both genders experience similar levels of goal progress and health benefits. So we all hit rough patches, and maybe you're just struggling with some self-doubt, or you feel like you're not quite enough. Since we've all been there before, when you start investing in yourself as well as your relationship, everything else will change. You become more confident, more interesting, and honest, and more attractive, not just to others, but to yourself. Now, let's talk about the real challenges couples face, because communication breakdown is still a thing. Not spending enough quality time together is one of the hugest things, because we're always working, we're always striving to get more, which is why I keep telling you guys about how and when and where to invest. Because if we put all of our money in the right place, we will find ourselves making more money, make money for us in ways that we otherwise would not have made had we just left it to chance. We also understand that letting life's chaos pull you apart happens to be one of the things that destroys the most relationships. But there are simple and powerful ways to turn things around. So really listening to each other, that's going to be one of the things that is going to make the relationship better. Communication isn't just about talking, it's also about listening. But making time for fun, that's something that we don't always do. A lot of the times we put in effort for work. We put in effort for someone else's work. A lot of women who are stay-at-home wives and mothers want the man to come home from work and take care of the kids so that the woman can take a break, which is also fair. She does need a break. But then the question is, if he's coming home from work and he is going to relieve your stress, and then when he finishes relieving your stress and you get that rest, then he's going back to work. The question is, when are you going to relieve his stress? Reciprocation is key. So making time for fun together. Sometimes instead of just expecting your husband to come home and take over the scenario, you might need to plan for a scenario where your husband comes home and the babysitter takes over. And then you guys just go to a hotel and sleep. you don't have to legit go out for a fancy night on a town or do an extra activity. You're exhausted. Parents need breaks. So if you're exhausted, it is not a problem for you to occasionally say, you know what? Let's both take the night off. I'm off today. Let's get you off today. Let's just rest for an evening, 6 to 8 hours. And then we can get back into the mix of things. Not too many relationships talk about things like that. But if you're making time for each other, you guys will be able to rejuvenate yourselves. Now, if you're practicing gratitude every day, we talked about this yesterday, practicing gratitude every day. It's not just saying hi and bye to each other, giving each other hugs and kisses and stuff. It's genuinely recognizing when someone's doing what they're supposed to do, when someone is stepping up. When is the last time you looked at your husband and told him, I am proud of you for keeping everything afloat? You're doing a great job taking care of the operation. When is the last time you've told your husband, hey, I know times are tough, but you're working too hard, take a break. I won't be mad at you if you take a break. Take a break. Let's take a break together. You've done enough. You can rest. When have you ever told your husband that? When have you told your boyfriends that? Men, the good men that women date, the good ones, not always the ones that forget, the ones that are inconsiderate, or the ones that are just downright unappreciative. We're talking about just the good men. The good men will see a woman doing too much and they will take over. and start doing it for her. And for those men, we need women that are going to recognize when the man is doing too much and he needs to go lay down. Because again, if you work your horse to death, your horse is dead. You have to at some point say, that's okay. I'm going to take care of this part, let the horse rest, and then tomorrow put him back out there. But here's the thing. If you complete a monthly challenge, you could do a monthly challenge year, matter of fact, where every month out of the year, you are completing a goal. You want to pick a new challenge every month, like learning to dance, going vegan, or unplugging from screens for a week, and tackle it together. Cover a book, anything. This keeps things fresh and encourages you both to step out of your comfort zones. This allows you guys to find small, meaningful challenges that you guys can overcome in your relationship together, which also builds memories that you guys can think back on. Because when you guys are dating, when we are all in relationships, we're doing this partially to build memories. That's what this is about. Okay. Now, here's another thing that you guys can do. This is a really interesting goal. Host a stranger dinner. Invite someone or a couple that you don't know well, a new neighbor, a coworker, an acquaintance. Invite them over for dinner. It's a great way to expand your social circle and share new perspectives. That is actually a very excellent way to network. Ladies, y'all have careers too. If you invited one of your superiors over for dinner, and y'all could actually make it a group thing, because you could invite your superior, he could invite his superior, and then you have at least you and your spouse, your boss and his boss, if not your boss's couple and his boss's couple, where there's a table for 6. And that builds you guys a social network. If you're in businesses like real estate or banking or anything that requires networking, utilizing a activity like this, your relationship, your dinner is almost like a business dinner, but you're doing it out of fun. If you guys can work together to close a deal for the family, you guys can end up finding yourselves successful while enjoying life together, which is harder for a lot of relationships to do, because so many relationships are hell-bent on working for somebody else to make ends meet that the couples don't have enough time for each other. And typically, romances on the job occurs when somebody spends too much time on the job. Now, another task that you can do is create a joint art project. If you collaborate on a painting or a sculpture or a mural, even if neither of you is artistic, that is fantastic. Take, like, if you own your own home, or if you don't care about the security deposit in your apartment, and let's say you want to paint a mural, take a wall that isn't blocked by anything, and you guys can spend the day painting a portrait up there. And that could be, you could do that to an entire room. You could do that to every room in the house, really. You could do one room per month, because you guys got to work. So you're probably only going to do 1 or 2 walls at a time. Unless you're both working on the same wall, you'll probably get 1 wall done per day. And so you might get 1 room done per month. Assuming that you do this at least 4 weeks out of the month, there's 4 walls in a room. You should be able to cover all four walls in a month and then move on to another room. The process is about teamwork, creativity, and making something uniquely yours. Now, this gives you the ability to express yourself. You can put things that you're thinking about up there, positive things now, because I know that a lot of us dwell on negative things. We're stressing over stuff that we haven't overcome yet. So we've got a lot of stress on our plate because even in our individual lives, while we have a relationship, our individual lives, there's things that we're worried about. We're not trying to paint those. We're trying to paint happy thoughts. We're trying to paint achievements and positivity on this mural. Special memories. You don't have to be good at it. You could just get it out there. And then while you're another part of this task is that your partner could try to guess what you're painting. And then when the mural dries, the house could be a tour where you show people, close friends, because you don't want to bring strangers throughout your house, but really close friends and family. You want to show them what these murals mean. There's another thing that you guys can do, and I think this one is very interesting. And we didn't talk about this one yesterday. This one is one of the top ones on my list now that I see it. Do a yes day for each other. Make it a reasonable yes day, but do a yes day. Take turns having a day where one partner says yes to reasonable requests and activities suggested by the other person. And I gotta emphasize, ladies, reasonable. If you wanted to go see a movie that your partner doesn't like to see, or if you wanted to play a game that your partner would prefer not to play, the things that your partner would usually say no to, like, ladies, if a guy wants to eat at the Cheesecake Factory and he's like, yeah, I want to go to Cheesecake Factory, today is the day that you just say yes to that, right? It's a playful scenario that builds trust and helps you discover new interests. If there's something that your partner always wanted to do and they ask you, can you join them on yes day? That is the day where whatever y'all are about to get into is going to be new beginnings for you and uncharted territories for your relationship. And it is a fantastic way to increase the ability to make your relationship successful, because you would be able to try new things. You would be able to learn something that you didn't already know. Now, along with journaling, I told you guys about earlier, you write and bury a time capsule. And depending on where you live, it might be harder to do. But if you write and bury a time capsule, fill a box with letters, mementos, and predictions for the future. And then bury it or hide it. Set a date years down the road to open it together. Now, I know with how short relationships are these days, that might seem to be very unrealistic to do, because 2 years down the line, you're probably not going to be dating one another anyway. But if you recognize that most relationships don't last 2 years, you might want to set a 2-year goal for your relationship. And then here's a spin to this time capsule situation. Take some of the things out of the time capsule and put some new things into the time capsule. Put it back and double the time. If we lasted 2 years, let's come back in 4, no matter what. Whether we broke up or not. If we're both still alive, let's come back in 4. See what happened. And then you turn 4 years into 8. If you would have checked that time capsule 3 times in 12 years, see what I'm saying? You would be able to relive past memories, build a stronger bond with one another. It is almost renewing vows of commitment, Because if I'm guaranteed to come back to this time capsule in 2 years, and you're guaranteed to come back to this time capsule in 2 years, then in 2 years today, we are going to be right here together. Now, if the goal is for us to be together until that day and beyond, then our subconscious effort should be to make this the happiest length of time that we're going to have from the day we bury this capsule until the day we dig it up. Now, that's a huge spin to the time capsule thing. It's not just, hey, let's just bury our memories in the dirt and then come back and see what we were thinking a decade ago. Let's set a goal for the future so that we can dig that goal up in the future and still be here together in the future. Now, I understand that volunteering for an unusual cause is not up a lot of people's alley. But if you choose a cause that neither of you have supported before, like urban beekeeping, wildlife rescue, or historical preservation, and volunteer together, it's a chance to learn something new and give back as a team. Now, if you take an improv or stand-up comedy class, you can also do a spoken word scenario or karaoke night. Nothing bonds people together like laughter and vulnerability. Improv, comedy classes force you to let go. So does karaoke. So does spoken word. It allows your partner to be present. It allows you to be present and support each other in a fun way. A low stakes environment. This isn't a situation where you're trying to one up each other. This is a situation where you are trying to enjoy each other. Now, remember, I told you before that instead of, the husband coming home and relieving the wife, or the wife taking on double duty and relieving the husband, I said, why don't just grab a babysitter and both of you take a break? Remember that? Well, if you plan a no spend day, adventure weekend, challenging yourselves to have an amazing weekend without spending any money. Get creative with free events, nature, homemade meals. You would be able to find new activities and new adventures based on your active rate. Some things you might start doing and be like, nah, this ain't for me. And some things you might start doing and think to yourself, oh, I could see us at least doing this once a month, right? A change from trying something new. Swap hobbies for a month. That's going to be a little bit challenging because, if you're dating somebody that's got a Madden record that's unbeatable, it's going to be hard for you to beat a new LeBron. It won't be hard to beat LeBron James because LeBron James is garbage, but it'd be hard for you to it'd be hard for you to be top tier at GTA 6 if you're if you've never played the game before. But each partner chooses a personal hobby and teaches it to the other person. Now, this will build bonding for the two of you. For a whole month, you both focus on the other's interests, gaining new skills and appreciation. So this is going to be something that you're going to do for each other's passion, but you're going to work on his thing for a month, and then he's going to work on your thing for a month. You guys are going to alternate this because I know a lot of people who would think about, well, I'll do it for 5 or 10 minutes and then force the other person to do mine for an hour or two. The way you would work it out is that you would place yourself in a position where you're digging in and giving it your all for a whole month to see how good you get. But here's the benefit of it, though. If you learn your partner's passion and your partner learns your passion, what do you guys get to do together now? What you both are passionate about. Now, not all passions are going to catch on for both couples, but the things that do, at least your partner will understand why you're doing what you do the way you do it. Now, one more thing I want you guys to do: start a couples failure journal. Record your mistakes, your flops, and funny fails as a couple. This isn't something like my partner screwed up, whatever. This is something where we both failed together. This is a blooper reel of the relationship. Reflect on them together and celebrate what you learned and embrace the imperfections as a couple. If you guys do this as part of your shared story, you would be able to, instead of belittling each other, you would be able to rekindle the strength that you have gained from improving your relationship over time. Now, here's what I'm challenging you guys to do today. Set some relationship goals. Focus on self-growth and watch how it transforms not just your partnership, but your whole outlook on love and life. Now, if you've got your own stories or tips about how self-improvement or relationship goals have changed your life, I definitely want to hear them. You can always drop them in the comment section. And let's keep this conversation going. Don't forget to check out some of the other episodes that we're going to have for more real talks on dating and relationships. Because tomorrow, being Sunday night, we're going to be doing questions and comments from the fans. So we're going to be going over a lot of the upcoming improvements of the relationships through the inputs from the comments tomorrow night. Definitely want to make sure that you guys get your mindset for being ready to level up your love life. Make sure that when you're coming to this and that we're doing this together. With that being said, I really appreciate you guys that have been watching us over on Twitter X. We've been around for a few years, and we actually just started doing this on Twitter. We're actually larger on YouTube right now, but we really appreciate you guys for showing us that mutual respect, because we understand that Twitter X is more about business and finance and politics, but it is good to know that you guys have an interest in self-improvement in addition to self-wealth improvement and relationship improvement and finance improvement, because there's a difference between self-wealth and just overall finance, because your personal wealth is the way you're taking care of yourself, not the way you're taking care of the family, not the way you're taking care of your society, not the way you're taking care of your business, the way you take care of yourself. And I know a lot of us men leave ourselves undone until we can't take it anymore. And then when we fall apart, we kind of just like tap out for a few seasons and recuperate before we get back out there and do it again. If we start putting more effort into taking better care of ourselves, improve our own self-wealth, then we would have more skill set and capability to do for those people that we value. We can't continue to stretch ourselves too thin. We have to remember to put ourselves in a receivable position before we put ourselves in a giving position, because it's harder for us to give our last when we've already given our last yesterday. It's easier to give more if we have gained more since yesterday. And this is one of the things, ladies, that I really encourage y'all to take into consideration as well, because this is not just a situation where, fellas, it's all about getting it in. It's really more about us putting in the effort to get ourselves right so that we have the strength and capabilities to give more to our partners. Then we want to be able to show that love and respect to those partners, where those partners will then reciprocate, not because they have to, because they want to, right? Because you're giving for the sake of giving, but you're only giving because you can, not because you have to. Because if you didn't have to and you wouldn't, then why are you giving? But those of us who do give for the sake of giving only give what we don't need. We only give extra. And in order for us to give extra, you have to build more than what you need so that you can give more of what you have to those who need it. Now, that can go a whole lot further than your romantic relationship. But if you're utilizing that train of thought for your romantic relationship, you're going to see your relationship go a lot longer of a way. Ladies, since y'all receive more than y'all give, y'all are going to see that those men that give intentionally, not just for the sake of making you smile, but give intentionally, you will see more strategic ways that gifts are brought about. And then you ladies who are receiving should remember that reciprocation is effective, but you guys want to make sure that your gift giving is fiscally responsible. You're not just trying to one up each other and buy a bunch of stuff and have the house full of clutter, because you can give gifts like postcards. You can give gifts like writing love letters. You can give gifts like sending random love text messages or love emails or love emojis. You could do things like massage each other's scalps or give each other back massages, or you could do things that don't cost money to randomly express the gift of love to your partner. You have to be more creative than opening up your wallet and Googling things online. But if you really got to Google something, you can always ask the Google lady about free things that can be done to express love to your partner. And there's probably 100 things or more that can be done, where you could potentially every day of the week for a whole year be able to do something different for your partner until the upcoming year. There is a possibility for that. And it doesn't cost you money, or it doesn't cost you much money. It's all in what you value and how much effort that you're willing to put out there. We used to say back in the day, before the Western culture became so monetized, we used to say that it was the thought that counts, not the money put towards it. So the effort and the outcome that you were intending on happening, that's what counts, not throwing a bunch of money at it. So even if it didn't look the way it was supposed to look and things didn't work out the way it was planned, if you're putting in the right kind of effort, then it is what it is. Now, because the effort was done for the sake of you, even if it doesn't look right, you appreciate it. Even if it doesn't taste right, you value it. Even if it doesn't fit right, try your best to at least try it on. Something. With that being said, I'm going to ask you, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, like I said earlier today, we're about 75% male-driven podcast from a male's perspective. While ladies, y'all can come here and learn a lot about building wealth and building up yourselves. You can learn more about how men are changing to build themselves up to be higher valued men for you. So make sure that you like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure that you guys follow us on the Twitch and Twitter X channels. And thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. And before I go, any questions or comments that you guys put into the comment section from Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, they will end up on the screen at the top of the screen here during the outro of the show. Thank you guys very much. See you tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.